Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Round 9 edition of the Collingwood Magpies BigFooty podcast. I am the Mighty T, and joining me from, well, not exactly the far reaches of South Australia, but you're actually in Melbourne, aren't you, Specious?
I am. I'm probably closer to the MCG than a lot of people, actually. Living in Ivanhoe at the moment.
Well, that's enough from you, because obviously you must enjoy going down to the MCG more than you the Portress these days. But I'm joined today by SpeciousSargument, a member of the Adelaide board. How are you doing today, mate?
Going all right. Some of your listeners may remember me from last year when I was stoned on painkillers. Well, Good news, I'm stoned on painkillers again. So you'll have to forgive me for the racial slurs and sexist comments. Yeah.
And I'm drunk, so really we're looking at a really efficient show tonight. Now, with all this bye nonsense and not seeing our team play for a week, it's hard to find ways to fill your day, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been preparing for this podcast for the last several minutes.
Yeah.
Now that's taken up a good chunk of what I'd rather be doing instead of watching Carlton and St Kilda's insipid performance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I understand that you've been keeping tabs on a certain player's dollar per possession count. Have we got a running tally?
Oh, is this young Meister DThomas that we're referring to? There might be. Well, he had 8 touches tonight. In what can only be classified as a best on ground performance. Because I can't see him tallying more than that this year. So, really impressive. Great win by the Blues. They're really slaying giants of the competition at the moment. And yeah, Mick Bolthouse, what a coach. But aside from that, we won't spend too long on those cellar dwellers that were playing on Monday night for some reason. This week off football, we've been littered with, well, a really emotional argument regarding the bump. You've got a bit more of I'd say an emotional connection to it, given that it was one of your players that was in the firing line. But how did you see the Jack Viney incident?
Happened right in front of me.
Yep.
No, to be honest, it was on the TV, so the TV was in front of me, so technically true. But
yep.
Look, it was as you say, I've got a dog in the fight. I'm a little bit upset that Tom Lynch is going to miss about 6 weeks of football with a broken jaw.
Yep.
Now, I'm all for the bump. I was a bigger kid when I was playing school footy. I loved the bump. It was fantastic. To pirouette, to not pirouette, at the end of the day, a bloke got his jaw broken, and I think there is a duty of care involved. I think it was a bit of hyperbole, all the greats coming out and saying, "Oh no, it's going to kill the bump," but they say that every time somebody gets suspended and the bump's still in the game. So I don't know what to make of it.
What I do know is I don't think anyone would have. He certainly wouldn't have found himself in the team if he had pirouetted out of the contest. And I look at all the incidents from this weekend, and I think they're all fair and reasonable. I understand the gripe of yourself and Adelaide supporters, because at the end of the day, you are going to lose a player for 6 weeks. And not that I've ever empathised with a Carlton supporter, but when Sharrod Wellingham decided to attempt to kill Cade Simpson a couple of seasons ago, and was only reported for a couple of weeks, I thought, okay, well, Simpson's out for 8. There's a bit of a mistake there, a bit of an injustice.
Jason Cloak, preliminary final.
Hey,
Tyson Edwards.
Yeah, listen, don't beat that around. We had 2 suspensions in 2 years that cost us 2 premierships. Or at least that's the way I'm spinning it. Now, it is a concern. We don't want to lose the bump, but I'll tell you what. If you're going to be Paul Chapman and put your elbow up and try to decapitate someone on the weekend, then I think you deserve your 2-week break.
Well, looking at the number of players suspended this weekend, it's clear that none of them actually took the Viney situation into account. Or maybe they looked at it and thought, oh, no, this is great. All you have to say is I couldn't do anything else and you get away with it.
Jared Ruffhead looks like a type that would take on this kind of challenge, doesn't he?
Yes. Let's see how far we can push it before it breaks.
Absolutely. The second big issue, the second non-Collingwood Adelaide issue that I want to talk about is the announcement that apparently some of these infraction notices are going to be issued by ASADA to up to 40 Essendon players from the 2012 list. Your thoughts on the issue in general?
Well, the key thing to look at here is that they're only show cause letters that are reported to be in the process of being issued in the next couple of weeks. Now, we've had that announcement, I think, 4 times that they were just, weeks away from being issued. So, grain of salt, we'll see. But something else to keep in mind is that the way I'm seeing it, and as I posted on the board, I think it's going to drag out until everyone except Fletcher's already retired and nobody cares anymore.
I just think it'd be really fascinating if they all got suspended and we had a team that was, the 2 GWS boys I picked up last year, Danaher, Goddard. I think that's pretty much it, actually. But hey, that's fine. Surely they can win with that. No, look, the AFL's got so much invested in having 18 fully operational teams, fully competitive teams.
That's right. And as the Essendon supporters are so keen to point out, they're one of the big 4, the Anzac Day game. Can you imagine, Essendon under 10s playing in the Anzac Day game? Oh, no, it'd be a travesty.
I think it'd be fantastic. But, nothing encapsulates the Anzac Day spirit like having underage people fighting against men. But, listen, this is something that, unfortunately, they have put themselves in a position to receive these punishments. And, if it comes about this way, it does. I just don't see that many players being suspended. I just can't fathom it.
I think you're right. There's too much money involved in the TV rights to have a franchise, particularly one of the bigger franchises, to be effectively uncompetitive for not just 2 years. It would take them a lot of years to get back involved from that. Earlier today, I was watching a program on a college program in the USA called Southern Methodist University, one of the Texas Conference teams.
Yep.
Now, they effectively cheated. They paid players under the table, Carlton, although I guess glass houses and stones comes my way with Tippett. But look, now people don't write in. I've said it. Leave it alone. Look, so basically these guys were paying players on the table. They were told to stop it. They kept paying some of them because they didn't want more information coming out from these guys that they were not paying anymore, so they got caught again. Effectively got given what the NC2A called the death penalty.
Yeah.
They were kicked out for a season. They were given the option of coming back in the second season, so I think it's going back to 1986.
Yep.
They're given the option of coming back in halfway through the second season. Chose not to, because most of their players had already left and gone to other universities.
Yeah. 30
years on, I think they've just had their first winning season.
I mean, the biggest. I mean, that's all well and good. I mean, and obviously that was completely illegal. There was extra payments, etc. But this has got so much more to do with player welfare and player health, and heaven forbid if a player's livelihood gets taken away from him for an action that he didn't knowingly adhere to. I mean, the club's liable. Right? You could just see a raft of lawsuits come out. I mean, look, that's taking it to the next step, but. It's quite possible. And look, no one wants to see a club damaged that much except for me with Carlton. But, oh wait, I've already seen that. Sorry, that's just rehashing an old story. But the thing...
Thank you, Mick Malthouse.
No, I was talking about the salary cap tampering. But hey, it's all good. Maybe it is playing out again. How exciting.
Round two.
But look, hopefully we don't want to see a club absolutely crapped on to the point where it just can't function anymore because, you know what, I don't mind the competition the way it is at the moment.
Look, it's a really delicate situation to be in. Gillon McLaughlin receiving the hospital pass from A. Demetrio on the way out.
He really threw him under the bus, didn't he?
Yes. Bad luck there, mate. But look, I'm sick of hearing about bloody Gillon McLaughlin. He was going to be AFL CEO 7 years ago, so he can cop it on the chin. Look, I think because it's such a mess, I don't think the AFL, as we mentioned, I don't think the AFL or Foxtel can afford to have a basket case team as bad as Essendon would become if they lost 40 players for 2 years. A few clubs would lose players as well, notably Monfries at Port, among others. But look, the AFL have certainly got a lot of weight. Number one sporting team or sporting body in the country. They've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of political pull.
Mm.
They could say, look, ASADA, thank you very much, but we're gonna drop our Australian government funding, and because we've got enough money from Foxtel, we're not going to abide by your rulings. Yeah. It sets a dangerous precedent. Then but they
can do it. But they can do it, and like the Major League Baseball does in the States, they don't operate under a drug code. So okay, yeah, sure, their players are roided up to the max, But that's their business.
NFL is free from intervention by WADA as well because they don't take any federal money. So I think that is a realistic option that the AFL have got. But what does that then say to the rest of the teams in the AFL? Looking at the Viney situation, if you bump a guy, break his jaw, are we going to then overturn it just because we want to see the bump left in the game? Are we going to sweep this Essendon issue under the rug just because we want to see 18 competitive teams?
No, look, they're all very good points. So switching focus back to actual on-field performance, in a few words, who do you think right now you'd classify as the real contenders for this year's premiership? Because I've got mine, but I'm very interested to hear yours.
I'd rather vomit than say Port. I'd say Fremantle as well. Maybe Hawthorn and Sydney.
Yeah.
That kind of top. That's how I see the top four.
Port are playing well, aren't they?
It hurts me to say it. But unfortunately, yes, Port are doing well.
And we spoke about this on. It was actually on the Collingwood forum. They were talking about poaching perhaps their fitness guy, and Matty's, I believe, turned around and said, "No, you want to look at more their psychologists." And I don't think he couldn't be any more correct. These guys play like men possessed. They just keep attacking. They have no regard for their limitations, whether it be... I watched the Geelong-Port Adelaide game, and just straight down the middle each time. This is the game style that we're going to play. We're going to get the ball, and then we're going to kick it inside 50, and then we're going to score. And there's just this belief that to continue running, to continue fighting, and keep taking chances. That's something that... that's something that you have to ingrain into a person over a period of time. It's impressive.
Look, that sort of confidence can be a fragile thing. That's what I'm saying to console myself.
Yep.
Look, at their best on-field performance that they've seen since probably about 2005-06.
Yep.
Port have still got less members than the Crows do in probably our worst year since 2006. It's good on them. Get stuff.
Well, look, let's turn our attention to something that's more, near and dear to our hearts. This Thursday's game, pathetic time slot, pathetic day for football.
Who plays football on a Thursday?
No, you play football on a Thursday when you specifically want to get 10,000 people to a ground because you know that there's school and work the next day. So, great job, Andy. That's brilliant.
It's part of the global conspiracy to keep the Mighty Crows down. That's all it is.
I just think it's ridiculous. What do we have here? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then Thursday football. I understand that the AFL feels like they become slightly irrelevant if no one talks about them for 2 days. But just cut the cord and let us just have a breather. Anyway, Friday night football would have been fine, but we've got it on Thursday. The big return of the eminent forward in the competition, Tex Walker. Well, he certainly was the big star a couple of seasons ago. What's his impact going to be on Thursday night, and how concerned should I be?
Are you sure he's coming back in? I hadn't heard anything about it. No, look, he's a monster. And Walker Texas Bogan, as I've coined the phrase, selling T-shirts shortly. Look, he is going to be a big emotional in. The team has looked insipid this year, a lot of last year. We went from having Tippett and Walker up forward to having just Walker up forward to having just Josh Jenkins up forward. So it's been a tough couple of years since we had the Twin Towers. Now, he's just coming back from... he's been eased in. 2 weeks ago he was match fit, but wanted to find some form. So he's come back through the Crows reserve side.
How's he gone?
He got played against Glenelg 2 weeks ago, and he got something like 3 goals.
Yep.
Now, last week he played against the Port Adelaide Magpies on a guy called Tom Cleary, who apparently is an AFL listed backman.
He is.
I've never heard of him.
Yep.
Probably because I don't read too much about Port, but makes me want to spew. But so he got 4 goals 3.
Yep.
He got 15 possessions, 7 marks. He's used to playing against black and white, so hopefully he's going to tear you guys apart. Hey,
listen, I'm certainly happy to see him back. I hate seeing players go down with these 12-month injuries. I saw it with Tuvi last year. We had 3 in 1 year a couple of years ago. It's terrible for a young man's career, especially a man who, almost almost is relied upon to carry half the forward line, and hopefully that's not the case this year. We've seen Betts come across. I don't like the fact that you guys kick it on his head, because I don't think that's appropriate for a man of his stature.
It's not fair to the way we've been treating him this year. He had a couple of great games early on in the season, and it was looking very exciting. But it seems like the Crows have been relying on him too much and have been kicking directly to him, where he should be sharking packs that Codziardi's bringing down. And
I don't think he'll be able to escape the clutches of, there was a point in time where I couldn't have said this with much confidence, that Collingwood had small defenders, but Tuvey, Marley Williams, Alex Fasola looking to come back into the team. Not that Fasola can defend, let's be clear about that. Tom Langdon, who won the Rising Star. If you've watched a Collingwood game, he's number 41 this year. Really impressive young kid. I think that Betts might have a little bit more than he can handle. Look, we spoke off air about your confidence would have been much higher if there was some consistency in the Adelaide game. And it does lead me to wonder which Adelaide will turn up on Thursday night.
Yeah, look, we started the season with an honourable loss. I hate that word, honourable. Anyway, we had an honourable loss to Geelong at Geelong. Now, it was a game we could have won. If it was played in Adelaide, maybe we would have won. That would have been lovely. Since then, we've beaten 3 crap teams, and we've had big losses to 2 good teams. Last week, we thought we had the bye. Turns out we had Melbourne, the last match. Didn't turn out too well there. I'm liking the fact that you guys are bringing back 3 defenders. That tells me something good. Something's frightening about our forward line. But no, it's been a heartbreaking season. Just to see, from 2012, where we were, let's say we were a top 4 team instead of a top 2 team. We lost Tippett. We brought in Betts. We brought in Pods. Doesn't quite make up the Tippett, but it's close. And we've had a year of experience into those players. Now, to see. Last year even with Essendon being kicked out, we couldn't make the finals. We're putting in perennial Adelaide performances, which is to finish somewhere between 7th and 12th. Not good enough to get a good draft pick. Well, not bad enough to get a good draft pick, but also not going to be competitive in the finals. We've done that for 20 years, and it's wearing thin, really.
Also, trading off a guy like Vince, Vince is probably superfluous to your needs. You've got Sloan, you've got Dangerfield, Thompson, you've got the makings on paper at the very least of a very talented midfield. But I thought Vince added some good midfield depth and could be used in probably off the half-back flank as he's a fairly decent user of the ball. I didn't think he was terrible. But
look, he's a player that I think we would have preferred to keep rather than trade. Given the Tippett scandal, we ended up losing effectively 2 first-round picks in subsequent years, 2 second-round picks in subsequent years, and whatever compensation we would have got for Tippett. We had to, Sanderson wanted to trade back into early part of the draft. Now, we managed to land Matt Crouch with the pick we got for him.
I've got to say, I love the tactical pickup of the brothers. That's nice. You're trying to avoid the go-home factor. I like that. I respect that.
And look, for anyone that doesn't really know, Brad Crouch, number 2, he's going to be the next Dangerfield.
Yep.
Matt Crouch, number 44, I think he's 44, is going to be the next Brad Crouch. So, look out. Once Scotty Thompson, who's been a great football player for a long time, once he leaves the club, I think he's 31 now, we're going to have, hopefully, three Dangerfields and a Sloan.
I can't finish, and a Sloan, I like that. I can't finish any discussion about the Adelaide Crows without talking about the most coveted Victorian in the land, Patrick Dangerfield. Now, he is what, and I love Dane Swan, and I'm going to cop the biggest amount of heat for this, but he's what I would love Dane Swan to have been at the same age. Do you know what I mean? That absolute bull, this raging monster that can just strike fear into the heart of sides because he can kick 5 goals in a game from the midfield.
Well, it's no surprise that he's wearing number 32. That was Mike Rasciuto for anyone that's not familiar with it. A very similar type of player. Yeah. Crashes packs. I expect he'll have a chance to win a Brownlow. He's already been very close in the voting. Him and Scott Thompson are taking votes off each other. So I think if either of those weren't playing in the same team, one of them would have a Brownlow by now.
Yep.
But Dangerfield, he needs to adapt his game a little bit. He's not going to be able to crash packs the way he has and avoid injury when he's 28, 29, 30.
Definitely.
So he needs to develop a bit more judicious approach for when he hits players and when he hits packs.
What have your thoughts been about, let's say, how shall I put it, Brendan Sanderson's mate, Buckley? What have you thought about us this season? Where do you rate Collingwood? I mean, you didn't have us in your list of contenders. I forgive you for that. But what do you think of our game style, if you've watched a bit of us?
Look, I have watched a bit. I think you've done well so far this season. Obviously, what is it, 2 and 5? I think. Sorry, 5 and 2.
Correct.
My bad.
We're not Carlton.
No.
Go on. Or Richmond. Anyway,
St Kilda. Look, I expect you'll finish 5 to 8 kind of range. That's where I see it. You've got an improving list. I think next couple of years, provided the kind of Buckley issues with the playing group are resolved. I think that you've got an opportunity to have some success. And
it seems like they have been. I always feel that issues with coaches within clubs are overstated by the media. It's almost a get out of jail card. Oh well, they must not like each other. Instead of looking at the fact that says essentially everyone who was out of contract is now signed for the club. So it's interesting. I personally, I think in the last 5 weeks, I've seen enough signs to say that Nathan is implementing a game style that he likes, and you can see that bit by bit. It's a bit unique. It's a bit different. It's risky. I
think it was a massive step forward for him when he realised that not everyone was a robot when it came to training, like he was.
Yeah.
Not everyone wanted to throw up every time they went out to train.
Yeah.
And I think coming to terms with that and learning to manage those people that have a different skill set or a different attitude towards training and getting the most out of them, I think that was a big step forward for him.
And there's this really lovely article written by Dermot Brereton where he actually mentions, he goes, the hardest thing for Nathan Buckley to accept has been the fact that not everyone eats, lives, breathes and sleeps football like he does. And I guess, I mean, it's obviously hard, because I can't put myself in those shoes, but if you were that commitment and hell-bent and even obsessed with something, it's almost, you could find it difficult to separate yourself from that. So hopefully, and it seems this year that he's integrating a lot more of he's got rid of the negative influence at the club, or that he felt weren't going along, and I think he's growing as a coach, but he needs time, and as a developing list. Hey, we've come to the end of our session, but thank you so much for coming on board, mate. This is it's been a fantastic discussion.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure.
I believe you guys play us here in Melbourne later on in the year.
I haven't looked that far ahead. I get depressed when I look at the too far forward into the fixture.
Yeah, I have a feeling. So I think that it might be worth getting you back on for the reverse fixture, and maybe indulging in our drinking and drug taking habits together on the night.
Absolutely.
I think that's a fine idea. But thank you so much for coming on, mate.
You're welcome.
This is the Mighty T signing out.